The MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston is 9 million square feet and serves 70,000 patients each year. But deep in the basement of the largest cancer center in the world, our focus is on one man working in a small space.
Every time we ask a question, we find the answer, but it immediately asks 3 or 4 new questions.
This is where we find Dr. Steve Curley. Dr. Curley has spent 18 years at MD Anderson, and his lab has some very expensive tools. There's the $1 million microscope, one of only 2 of its kind in the world. While a microscope might be a lab fixture, this is not.
I should say you have the RF machines here.
Correct. This is John Kansas's device.
It's a radio frequency machine invented by Florida's John Kansas. Skeptical when he saw the first prototypes,
It was pretty rudimentary looking, and I kind of looked at it, and my first thought is, boy, I hope this thing doesn't explode or blow up.
there are now 2 of them in Dr. Curley's lab.
Kick-ass cancer cell generator.
We've followed John Kansas's story now for years, traveling to his home on Sanibel, where he spent hours tinkering in his garage. The former broadcast executive was fighting his own battle with leukemia. Watching children undergoing chemotherapy, he knew there had to be a better way.
To see young people, young families, particularly young children, walk in with smiles, and then you'd see these people 3 or 4 weeks later, and their smiles had disappeared, along with their hair and everything else, and I just said to myself, we're in a barbaric type of medicine.
Using his background in radio and physics, this is Kansas's solution.
The genius of it is it allows us to create a very potent and a very powerful radio frequency field, and we know that from our own work that when we put these nanoparticles into cancer cells that we can then put in the field in dishes, that we're able to kill the cells with the radio frequency energy.
A nanoparticle is smaller than the DNA in a single cell. There are millions of them in this test tube. It is the $1 million microscope that allows Dr. Curley to see them up close. The science here involves figuring out what type of molecule can be attached to these nanoparticles so they stick to the cancer cells. When Kansas's radio frequency machine is turned on, the cancer cells act like antennae and are killed by the heat generated by the machine. Neighboring healthy cells are left intact.
A number of people have really been amazed by the results that we've had so far and have found this to be a really promising treatment.
Now, the use of radio waves to treat cancer isn't new. A decade ago, Dr. Curley was at the forefront of radio frequency ablation, a cancer treatment still used today.
It involves putting a needle into tumors and then passing an electrical current that's a radio frequency electrical current across the needle, and that produces heat within the tumor.
2 advantages of the Kansas device. 1, there would be no radiation. 2, the treatment would be non-invasive.
This has the potential to treat cancers at multiple sites in the body, and in fact we are starting to look at some cancer cell lines from tumors that are different than what I've usually used. For example, things like skin cancers, lung cancers, breast cancers, those sorts of things.
We may know in the next few months, weeks, or even days if the research being done here represents the next huge step in finding a cure for cancer.
In fact, just after our trip, Dr. Curley's research was published online. Rabbits with liver tumors were injected with a nanoparticle solution and placed in the radio frequency machine. The result? The tumors were gone.
The treatment was less than 2 minutes.
And Kansas feels that we're now on the brink of something monumental.
It will either be a cure or it will be one that you can manage because there are no side effects, no collateral damage to the surrounding tissue. You could take this treatment every year if you needed to.
And 1,000 miles away from John Kansas's garage, the energy coming from this basement lab in Houston isn't just from his machine.
Could this be a potential cure for cancer?
I'm always loath to throw out what I call the C word. People think the C word is cancer. For those of us in cancer treatment, it's cure. We do believe that we're onto something that's important here. We do, at the very least, believe that it is going to be an important addition to the tools we use to treat patients with cancer, and hopefully we'll be able to take it even farther than that.